Okay, we're going to get started this morning with the annual operational report for highway and street departments. We're going to incorporate a couple different areas with this morning. Thank you. We're going to talk about the change in House Bill 1290 and how it affects everyone. There's some word changing in the 50% requirement for MVH distributions. This presentation started out as training for the LTAP. This has actually been presented at the Purdue Road School, which is put on by LTAP, stands for Local Technical Assistance Program. They're a division of NDOT. Also, in addition to the Purdue presentation, we presented a series of 4 regional training sessions. We had a variety of attendees, highway superintendents, street superintendents, clerk treasurers, county auditors. So we just wanted to kind of go through quickly today what was discussed and some of the issues that basically I've told them to contact you on as far as the financial, so I thought maybe we should let you know about it. So we'll go through it quickly, and if there's any questions, just stop me in between. We started looking at this last year after we knew there were going to be some changes for using the MVH distributions. And the changes are due to the increase in the fuel tax. This is a report that is required by IC 8-17-4.1. And what this report does, it actually discloses information on the financial condition and the operations of the street department. And those are the 2 keys, the financial condition and the operation. So obviously the financial condition, we're hoping they'll go to the auditors because we're looking for good financial numbers that agree with your ledger. And then the operation, which basically would be compiled at the highway department. So when I refer to the word report, basically I'm talking about the annual financial report. House Bill 1290 was just passed this last session, and changes were made as far as the 50% on the MVH distributions and the language on who has to file the report. So the current report is due June 1st, 2018. So hopefully they've all been submitted by now. I know that I'm the one in charge of reviewing the reports when they come in the office, and I probably have 30 or 40 emails to go through and to get them looked at. We also have on our website a file that shows when the reports have came in, the day they were submitted, the day I actually looked and accepted those. So time is approaching quickly. And the reason, obviously, this report became important was the increase in the fuel tax. Now, there's one other individual that actually we partnered this project. He is Todd Caldwell. So if you ever call for the highway report questions, you may get Todd or you may get myself. He was involved from the get-go. I basically started when I came in January. So this is his presentation that I've changed. And again, I'm new, and so these, like coming up, one little slide, I've never done this before, so bear with me. Again, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because filing the report, obviously that's probably going to be done by your county highway department. We had a pilot program that we brought in some counties and cities to actually use the new report format that will be due next year. We got a lot of positive responses on that. And it was a good way to determine how the report, if it would comply with the new requirements. There really weren't many issues at all, so we were happy about that. So what we're going to talk about, one of the biggest confusion areas that I've noted is people are confused about which report to use. Again, probably irrelevant by this time, but that was partly our fault because of anyway, the report that needs to be used is on the website. The report requires that all counties submit the report, and cities that have a population of 20,000 or more. Per 4.1-5, the report is supposed to be prepared by April 15th and approved by your county commissioners. Then 4.1-7, it states that you have to file the report with the State Board of Accounts by June 1st. Again, this is the current requirement. I want to stress that because there's a lot of confusion on current and future requirements. I'm sorry, yeah, the county has to file it. It's the highway people. Because generally, and I'm probably skipping ahead a little, the certification will be signed off by the county engineer of the county highway department. So 4.1-8 provides that we provide a list to the Auditor of State for those who have not submitted their report. And in turn, the Auditor of State, they're going to withhold future MVH distributions until those reports are received. So it's really important that these reports get in. Obviously, when I talk about MVH, we're talking about the Highway Fund. I know just looking at the prior year, we did not receive all the reports from all the counties. So I'm stressing that this year we're really taking a little more time and looking at those. The requirement now has changed the reporting that we do. Initially, the law said that we had to report to the Auditor of State by March 1st. Which is a little difficult because you weren't due to send it to us until June 1st. So the law has now changed that we are to report a certified list to the Auditor of State June the 15th. So we have approximately a 2-week period there to get those reviewed and a list submitted. I know that we're going to take extra time this year, and any of those that have not been filed, we will contact because we don't want you to lose your distributions. Before, when our deadline was on March the 1st, it was obviously difficult for us, so we were more of a holding agency, holding the report and actually not certifying. And so with this change, we've taken a whole new look at it. As they come in, I am doing a cursory review, the audit of the report. So the importance of the report, obviously the big one is so you can get your MVH distributions. That if those are withheld, they're sticking to that pretty stringent. So definitely that's the most important reason. The second reason is that NDOT actually uses some information from the federal report to apply for grants at the federal level. So the better reporting that the counties have, the better reporting that they will be able to put in their grant application for more transportation dollars. So more transportation dollars for the state means more transportation dollars for the local level. The third reason for this report, obviously, is the increase in transparency. The report will actually be created to show that you have complied or not complied with that 50% distribution once it's the final copy comes out. And the fourth reason for this is just it's better information for your constituents. I know that potholes have been a big discussion, especially in Indianapolis, and I'm sure in your own community. Citizens are actually calling us, wanting us to drive their roads. Obviously, that's not feasible, but this will just allow you to show that you have complied with the new statute. And if not, it will let the legislators know, no, this isn't impossible, or it's not. So, there's more than just the constituents. The legislatures will be reviewing the reports. Again, I am not going to go into how to get the report. That's beyond your scope. That's where the report can be found. The new report, again, we're talking about the current report. The only difference is we've added a section for debt, Section 8. The remaining report due this June 1st is the same. There's a certification page. Basically, we're having them sign it and keep it locally and submit the, they can submit the report without the signatures, just have those on hand. So the debt part of the report should only be road specific on that debt, not your general debt. So what we're asking you to do is you're most likely going to be assisting them hopefully in like the sections 1, 1A, 2, 7, and 8, and we'll go through each of those individually. The email address on the screen, those are for any questions that you may have. That will come to me as well as Todd Caldwell. So in addition to the highway departments, please call if you have any questions. Again, we're still on the current report. I can't stress that enough because I've gotten all kinds of formats from the various counties. This is the debt section I was just currently talking about. All the other sections are exactly the same as the prior report. This is one we've encouraged them to come and ask you. Unfortunately, it's hard to distinguish from the information entered into Gateway. Those that are just specific to streets and roads. So, because that was the first thought, isn't this information already in Gateway? Well, it is, but it's really hard to decipher what type of debt that we're looking at. So the new debt schedule here, basically you're going to type in the description of the debt, any new debt that's been added, principal and interest paid, and it will calculate the ending balance. So this is information easily obtainable from you. I mean, you've probably gotten this already for your annual report. I thought that was cute. Obviously, that one wasn't mine. That is a lot of information, I realize, but just so you know that this is for the report due here in a few days, this June 1st. And I think a majority of the counties actually have completed and submitted those. So now we're going to go into changes for the new report. Some of the results of the new changes in legislation doesn't really affect you, but it does the cities and towns. The current law says any city or town with a population of 20,000 or more are required to complete the form. The law has changed to require those that have a population of 15,000. We wouldn't be surprised to see that actually population decrease. Obviously, this doesn't really affect you because, again, all counties are required to submit this report. So this was this was the hot topic of the new law. Again, future reporting, I want to stress that. This is not due this June, so this is going to be for the next year, for the 2018 data. House Bill 1290 removed the word maintenance and replaced it with preservation, which you wouldn't think would be a big deal, but I didn't realize just how much that would affect how you would classify disbursements. Because it says the county shall use at least 50% of the money for the construction, reconstruction, and preservation of highways. And preservation, that's where the key's coming in. They're trying to define exactly what preservation means. And the statute actually gives a definition. The term preservation means the preventative treatment, non-structural treatment, rehabilitation, or structural repairs made to the transportation infrastructure. And you can read the rest of that. But the key in there is the non-structural treatment. We've questioned that could involve a wide variety of things. So LTAP is working on how they can improve the definition here. If you notice, it talks about preservation, those items included in an asset management plan. Again, this is something new I learned. They have to submit an asset management plan every year, which LTAP approves. And we have been working with LTAP, and they're going to actually review the definition of preservation. And so we're still in that process. So it also impacts the annual operational report for 2019. So again, we had been working on changes to the report. Obviously, that's the main reason we've changed the report, because the legislators want to make sure you've made that 50% contribution to the streets and roads. I know in the past we have introduced forms for cost allocation. I've realized that most of the counties already have some kind of a tracking system on how they track the daily payroll and that type of thing. If you don't have a system for tracking CS, and we've got some forms that we can share with you, the local officials wanted the report to show the compliance with the 50%. So the report's going to easily be able to, you will be able to look at the face of the financial statements and determine if that 50% was met. We've been working on this for quite a long time. There was a committee formed with State Board of Accounts, LTAP, NDOT, some associations, and street and highway representatives. So this was a huge task. We just didn't, jump into this on our own. We had a lot of input from those that are actually completing the form. And what we were looking for in the report is what information can we delete and what do we need to add. So there have been changes as far as what we've added and what we've taken from the report. We want to let you know this information as early as possible, because this is going to affect the way you set up your records. We need to think about the budgeting process. It's going to be different. You need to consider the maintenance and preservation, the description on this to determine how you're going to set up budget line items and so on. So for the 2019 report, again, most of these you don't even know, but just to give you a little update, Section 4, that was classification of employees, that's been deleted. Their equipment inventory is no longer required, and the report on federal aid. The additions that we've made, the prior report actually had an instruction page that was a Word document. Now we've actually put that on the first worksheet of the report. And the other thing we've added, which we just talked about, is the debt information, and that is Section 4 in the revised report. Again, we're talking about future report. Again, this is more from the highway department's perspective. One of the first complaints, I won't say complaints, but they wanted the auditors to be able to use information from Gateway. They're saying, why do we have to input the same information again? Because it was too difficult to determine which debt was not general and which debt actually specifically related to streets and roads. Here, again, the future report, the different sections, I have put an asterisk by those that they're probably going to be asking you about. We just talked about before, the instructions are now part of Section 1, and this is going to be beneficial to you because we have detailed out different descriptions, things that will help you complete the financial section. Section 1, this is a summarized financial information. Basically, cash balance beginning plus receipts minus disbursements ending balance. I'm surprised how many highway departments are trying to pull this information on their own. And hopefully they do have that information, but I have encouraged them to go to you for proper reporting. Because what I am actually doing, I'm comparing some information to the prior 2016 report, some to the Gateway. So anything that you can help them with, they need proper supporting documentation. And I've also expressed, when you go there, have them print something out, a fund ledger, whatever you have to support this report. Yes? We're going to get to that. That's a great question. No. So how this will work, the Section 2 and 3 will allow you to enter your receipts and disbursement, and they will flow to this report here. If you'll notice, we've completely revamped the report within the last month. I mean, it's a constantly changing thing. On this particular financial statement, the only thing that needs to be entered is the January 1 cash balance, which is highlighted in yellow. Everything else is going to flow forward. It will automatically compute your ending balance. So again, anything that you need will just be highlighted in yellow. The report has always been and will continue to be to show the common funds, which is the MVH, local road and street, and Cume Bridge. So those three you will always see every year. The less common funds that relate to roads and streets might be the rainy day fund, obviously community crossings, riverboat, edit, we can go on and on. So you've got to identify not only the common funds, but those other funds that contribute to roads and streets. Again, these should be compiled from the funds ledger. If we would come into audit, that's what we want to know, exactly the transactions according to the auditor. These are just the detail of disbursements. Again, this is going to come from another Section 3. This is Section 2, the detail of receipts. They're getting really confused. They're trying to go to Section 1 and enter all the information there, so you may have to guide them. The Section 2 is the detail of receipts, and again, it's the same. It compiles the information for the common funds as well as the other funds. The really neat thing about this is in the instructions, it will give details about the different types of disbursements and receipts. The detail has also been included here. Once it's done, you'll have a little bubble that will define what this certain revenue or expense would incur, or what it would include. So hopefully it's going to make it a lot easier. We're trying to get those instructions and the information in the reports to be consistent. The extra funds, again, will be added. One thing that recent change is the other funds normally, in the past were underneath the Section 2 of the common funds. Now we've moved it up. Cosmetic changes, but I still think it might throw some of the highway departments off, so we wanted to let you know that. One thing I forgot to mention, on the financial statement, the first page, you notice there was not a place to enter the beginning balance for the other funds. This is a change. The only thing we're worried about there, let me go back and show you that. Yeah, if you'll notice at the top, the other funds, it's grayed out. They're not concerned with the cash balances because if you think about it, rainy day, there's various uses of rainy day. All they want here is for local roads and streets. So the beginning balance is not required. Section 3, the detail of disbursements. We've added general maintenance, winter operations, various categories. This is where we were waiting on to see exactly how 1290 came out so we could use the same terminology. Again, it'd probably be on this form that we're going to show compliance with your 50%. Okay? So considering the code says construction, reconstruction, and preservation, you're going to see those individually separated on the detail of disbursements. And then we'll come up with some kind of a formula that's calculated at the bottom that will show compliance or non-compliance with your 50%. This is the main gist of why the report is so important, to show compliance. Again, the other funds are going to be to the right of the common funds, and all this will flow forward. I really like the yellow highlights. I think that helps to let them know that's where I need to enter information. We're still working on little things like, do we want you to put a 0 in everything? And we don't know those details yet. They seem minute, but you would be amazed by all the questions we get. So we're trying to compile all those, and we'll put those in the instructions. We just talked about the debt section. In the current report, we added Section 8. The new report, it will be Section 5. This includes bonds, loans, capital leases. Operating leases will not be included. The difference is a capital lease, you will own the asset at the end of the lease period. Operating leases are just those monthly expenses, so we would not consider those debt. And this is the form that NDOT was really excited about. This information, again, will help them with federal reporting. And the specific road funding was not always available, like we said, in Gateway, because they could not determine what debt went with the road and streets. I mentioned pilots. We had some counties and cities. 5 counties, 2 cities, and 1 town. They used the new form to report the 2017 information. Basically, we had some positive responses, and I hate to tell them that, but it's changed tremendously even since they've done their report. It's just constantly a changing based on discussions with LTAP and NDOT. If you want more information on the changes for the next year, there's actually a section on the website called Highway Operational Report. If you pull up the website, it's on the county's page. Again, we had the regional trainings and so on. You will actually see some question and answers in that section. There is a webinar that was put on by Shannon. So if you're interested in more information and more detailed on how to complete the form, I stress that you look at that. There was a lot of discussion on, can we upload this to Gateway? Actually, LTAP is coming up with their own data program, and we're still working on that, so that will never be the case from what we understand. Because they want to take data from the various counties and manipulate or do what they do with that. So I don't see this ever becoming part of Gateway. But I anticipate changes on exactly where you're going to upload it and that type of thing. Are there any questions? I know I went through that somewhat fast. The only sections, obviously, you're going to have to worry about are the financials, and I do stress that if you could support and help them, be much appreciated, because that's going to be the supporting documentation we ask for. Okay?